back. WNST, Indiana, for the NFL Combine. Luke and I will be on the scene there. And it feels like 5 minutes ago that I was stalking the Philadelphia Eagles locker room in frigid Minnesota when this guy managed to capture a video of me hugging Jim Schwartz upon his exit from the Eagles locker room. This guy's everywhere Ravens fans are, whether it's Wembley or West Coast, East Coast. But Pikesville was the original home, even though he's living high in the Hollywood Hills now as the founder of the PostGame.com and longtime Yahoo Sports executive. We welcome David Katz back onto the program because he loves the Ravens, the Orioles, and he's a good beer-drinking Baltimorean like you and I. You can find him at Katzmandu out on Twitter. How goes it in Southern California these days, David Katz?
I love the Ravens, the Orioles, the Terps, and Nestor Aparicio. That's why I'm back on the show, Nestor. Good to speak with you.
Well, that's why you have the TuneIn Radio app and our friends at BuyAToyota.com send us worldwide and all that stuff. So, look, man, Combine, going out, checking things out. I know you and the Post Game have been working on some stuff with Combine athletes and the draft and all that stuff as well. But the Raven eye in all of us says, who's going to catch the ball? Who's going to block for Joe? We need help on the offensive side. I think a lot of us thought we were going to get one of those third-round compensatory picks. Luke has now explained it to me out of the cosmos that Ricky Wagner getting injured at the end of the year, missing games, and Tony Jefferson has cosmosed us into a sixth-round compensatory pick. So the notion that we're going to get that extra pick on Friday night, not there. Boy, they need all the picks they can get at this point, Dave.
They sure do. I mean, I think it's exciting for Ravens fans who will finally go into the draft thinking we might actually take some offensive players and some playmakers at that. But why does this feel like it's not going to be much different than it is in the past, that we're going to take the best available player at the beginning, hopefully offense, but it could be offense or defense. And if it's offense, why do I feel like it's going to be an offensive lineman? I have that inclination.
Well, if they take Orlando Brown Jr., there would be some legacy, and, with the community would probably eat that up. It would help out the right side of the line for sure. I wouldn't necessarily be against that if they don't think this Ridley kid's any good or he's not going to be there. It does not feel ripe with wide receiver talent early in the draft. They've missed on so many of these guys at various levels, maybe Torrey Smith notwithstanding, who you and I were stalking 3 weeks ago in Minnesota coming out of the Eagles locker room. But, other than that, there's not a whole lot to hang your hat on for drafting wide receivers. Now, tight ends, different story. They had a chance to draft O.J. Howard last year, passed on that, and went the Marlon Humphrey route, which I think we can all look at now and say, good draft pick, good player, guy's going to get on the field, very important position in cornerback. So I got no complaints with last year, but I think over the body of work over the last 5 years, they gave all the money to Flacco and really have not done much to augment that or help him. And I think the results have, sort of justified what they've done on draft day to a lot of degree.
I think you're 100% right. I think that this is a team, though, that will continue to be who they are and build from the line out, from the inside out. I think a healthy Joe will change a lot of things next year. But we obviously need to shore up the wide receiver core, get some playmakers in there. And I feel like given how risky and how unsuccessful we've been with wide receivers and how this draft is shaping up and us not being in the top of the draft and not having a surefire Julio Jones up there, that we're going to probably look in the second or third or fourth round for several wide receivers. I think I see us taking more than one and hoping we get somewhere between a Juju Smith-Schuster and an Antonio Brown in the later rounds and see how that works out for us. But I think whatever we do, we're going to be the guys who sit there on cut day for the veterans, and we're going to be doing what we've done pretty successfully over the years and scooping up a guy who has proven that he can play in this league and is just, at the end of the day, a salary cap casualty of another team. I think we'll go in with some youth and some veterans.
Were you one of the guys beating the drums for massive change around here? Luke and I have been debating this for a couple of weeks. I mean, hell, we got 6 more months we can sit here and debate Marty Morningwig and, what would happen after Dean Pease and promoting from within and, John Harbaugh's job security and where they are with Joe Flacco and Steve Bisciotti, obviously, with ticket problems and PSL problems that, it feels to me like they're putting their head in the sand a little bit in regard to that, to my eyes anyway. We'll see. But, they have challenges in a lot of places, but blowing the thing up, they didn't do that. Ozzy's going to be going out. Eric's going to be coming in. There's already going to be change inherent and built into this thing. But I am wondering, I mean, guys like you were a little itchy about Harbaugh, were you not?
I like John Harbaugh in general as a coach. I think he's fine as a human being. I think he's even better. I think he's a really good person. I think he represents our team and our city incredibly well. There is a point in a coach's legacy with a team where the players there get tired of hearing a lot of the same stuff and a lot of the rah-rah. And I think John, his biggest fault from my perspective, outside looking in, is that he has relied too often on the folks that his father knew and that were kind of members of his family, and kind of stayed too loyal to those folks too long. And we've been successful and we've made some changes. The Morning Way retention is the one that I just don't get. And before he even became our OC, I had a lot of Jets fan friends who were telling me, this is a guy who's not going to get you where you want to be. And we've really only had the success when we shook things up, when we brought in Caldwell at the end of the year, and that shook things up, and that got us to a Super Bowl. And bringing Kubiak in was another shake-up. And I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Ravens behind the scenes to know whether that was something that John wanted or Ozzy and Eric pushed on him. But the offense, this was the opportunity to kind of shake things up and see how we work. I understand the argument about continuity, but, our most successes happen when we actually have taken a chance of going in a different direction. Now, on defense, I think bringing in a Pagano in many ways would have been a fresh voice and a boost to the team, but would not be an entire departure from the Raven way. And I think that there was an opportunity to go in a direction like that. And he may not have wanted the opportunity because, candidly, there's a lot of buzz out there about, will John Harbaugh, if he doesn't not just go to the playoffs, but if he doesn't go fairly deep into the playoffs. I don't know that just sneaking into the playoffs with a 9-7 record is going to save his job with a new general manager coming in. Even
that almost happened this year, though, David. Right? I mean, they almost, because they snuck into the playoffs. I mean, they were 4th and 12 away from being in the playoffs this year, and would have had a fairly decent chance to win the first round in Kansas City, I believe. Right?
I could have seen them going to the AFC Championship game just as easily as not getting in at that moment. So I understand there's a fine line between it, but we haven't been able to get over that line. We haven't given us a chance, and I don't know that I think we're going to see how the season plays out and the kind of momentum we have at the end of the year. But I don't know that getting into the playoffs and losing a playoff game is going to keep John's job at this point with a new GM. And after a decade of John Harbaugh, I think we're going to actually have to go in and make a run and be fairly close to, if not get to the AFC Championship game. And that's just a gut. I don't have any information on that. But I feel like the retention of the talent puts it all on John, and that this is who he believes has the best chance of getting him to where he knows he needs to go. And we're going to see how that plays out. And if he doesn't get there, I don't know that he can look around and say, well, there are a lot of reasons why we're not here, and it's not me. But that said, the few times I've met John, I don't think there is a more quality human being that is coaching in the NFL today. I just don't know if it's the schemes and the tinkering and the adjustments and the motivation that it takes to kind of get these guys to the next level. And it's hard to say, well, we started off this way and we ended up this way and our offense recovered because, we played a lot of bad teams and we played a lot of backup quarterbacks. So it's not like it's a pure growth story for the team. I think there were a lot of circumstances between our injuries and the injuries of the teams we played that explains why we were at one level at the beginning of the year and one level at the end of the year. So we're going to have one more year, and I think that our owner is going to demand responsibility for how our team performs. And I don't know that the fan base is going to be there to support another kind of average to below average year.
Well, the question's going to be what happens at the next level down when your dad bought those tickets and then you have them and you're out on the West Coast now living a different life and you come back for some games and some games you don't make it back. The question this offseason is when that $2,800, $3,500, $4,200 bill comes, are you paying it? I am. Mine's $1,800, $1,700, whatever it is for my pair up in 513. I'm giving my credit card number like I always do and buying my tickets. I see a lot of people that are either on the fence or just are not and have already made up their mind that they're not.
I have a lot of friends who last year did not go to games but had already invested in the tickets and were trying to sell them and were literally getting pennies on the dollar. They weren't happy about that, and the weather for certain games did not help. I have another friend who will remain nameless who has a suite, has invested in a suite. Money is not the issue for him. He's not happy about the kneeling, and he's made that very clear. And when his contract is up, he's also got relatively young kids, and he knows that going down to the stadium takes the full day, and it's a day away from the family. Even if he brings his kids along, it's not necessarily their first choice on what to do. And he's looking at this as, do I really want to go, and is this a great business investment? Is this helping me get a lot of work and deals? I don't know that it is. So he's under contract, and at some point his contract might be up, and he's going to have a decision to make. But, and that's for someone who the dollar is not the end-all, be-all. It's kind of where's the state of the league, where's the state of the team, and does he like the direction that this whole thing is headed? I think there's a lot of people that are kind of sitting on the fence. They don't necessarily want to give up the legacy of their tickets and their seat assignments, but we're going to see.
Well, the secondary market's not going to support it, right? I mean, you're not going to buy your tickets and flip them to make money. That's not going to happen.
Not at all.
That was very, very obvious that didn't happen 3 months ago. It's not going to happen 6 months from now. So, I mean, if you're buying the tickets, you're buying them to use them and sit in them and enjoy them. And, I think there's something about not Ray Lewis not being there. And, look, the Ray Lewis trip I'm doing is incredibly popular. We're on our 4th bus now. We're doing some baseball games, Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, which is near and dear to my heart, David. But, the whole post-Ray thing and where's the dance and where's the energy and where's the fun and where's the fire and where's the defense, the crowd has changed at the games because we're all 25 years older at this point, and I don't know that there's been an infiltration of that next level, that next wave of people who want to go to 8 games a year and paint themselves purple and tailgate in the parking lot. I mean, I definitely have sensed all of that changing over the last 3 or 4 years. This year was a real slap in the face, and quite frankly, one of the reasons I'm talking about more than sports around here is I don't think sports is growing in our community. I think it's shrinking.
I think you're right. I think we don't have the bankable stars. I mean, I think Terrell Suggs has been extraordinary. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a leader. But no one here is Ray Lewis, and no one can do what Ray did to galvanize the crowd. I mean, you didn't just go to Ravens games or want to be at Ravens games. You had to be in your seat early, and you were then disappointed when they introduced the offense instead of the defense. You were pissed off. So I don't see the person or the teammates who've kind of galvanized the fans. Joe is... He's an adequate quarterback, but Joe is not that fiery leader that everyone's coming out to see him run through the tunnel. On top of that, something I don't hear people talking about, it's going to be interesting, is a lot of people bought these tickets. They may have small businesses, and they use these tickets as a way to kind of write off certain expenses, and it was a business expense. Well, I haven't done all the analysis on the new Trump tax plan, but I had some people whisper to me that it's not necessarily good for things like T&E and the entertainment side of that. And you might not be able to write off quite as much. So look into that and see whether people will get hit in the pocketbook a little bit more by the fact that this may not be as big of a write-off as it was before. And I say that not with my CPA and tax hat on, but just kind of based on the hearsay of what people have said. So that said, those are the microclimates that are affecting this. From a macro standpoint, there aren't that many leagues in America right now that are seeing growth. And you're seeing a lot of leagues that are really wrestling with their future. College athletics in particular has gone through a really troubling week. And there's going to be a lot more of that. And people are going to be looking at at the professionalism and the amateurism of college athletics. And you're going to be seeing, when the FBI gets involved, you're going to be seeing a lot more that's going to happen to that sport. It's even impacting Mark Turgeon, who I don't even know that he should be fired for anything related to the FBI investigation. I think he should be fired for being one of the worst X's and O's coaches in Division I basketball. Really, one of the most.
You're down on Turge, aren't you?
I've been down on Turge for years, not just on this. I've never seen a coach get less out of the talent that he has recruited, and I've never seen better talent get appreciably worse over the course of their career. I can't point to anyone who's actually improved and gotten better over the course of their career. The Alex Lenz, the Melo Trimbles, these kids got worse and worse over the course of the years. And I have spoken off the record. I will not name coaches, but, I go to a lot of these events like you do, and you have a lot of access to coaches. I've spoken to several Big Ten coaches who face Mark once and or twice a year. And I said, is it me? What am I missing? And they exposed Mark, never making adjustments, running the same plays, being the easiest coach to scout against and to prepare for. And if you notice, anytime Maryland's up, the other teams all come back and make a run because they make adjustments, and Mark just keeps relying on the same stuff. I am incredibly unimpressed with his abilities, and it makes me pine for the days of Gary Williams, and I did appreciate Gary when he was here. But Gary was someone who wrung more value out of the talent he had than anyone else, and his teams and his players got better throughout the season from the beginning to the end, and we peaked at the right times. Now, he didn't want to play the AAU game. He ran, from everything we know, a clean program and would not give in to the gamesmanship that's being played right now. And he lost out on a lot of recruits because of that. But at the end of the day, he had competitive teams that played hard, that he coached up, and it was exciting. I'd take that any day over the incredible talent we have now that is lackluster, unperforming, and candidly has left us in a position where we're not going to make the tournament. And even if we did make the tournament, I had no faith that Mark would be able to scout and coach against the teams that we would be playing in the tournament. Sorry,
you're hard on Turge, dude. You're down on Turge. I've seen it. I've read it. I certainly have felt it. I said, if there's a time to throw him out the side door, I guess this is it. But I don't think that's going to happen. I don't really think it should happen. I don't know who they're going to go out and hire that's going to be better than him, that's got the program together. And if Fernando were to come back next year, or Jackson were to come back, they would be a team capable of winning 25 games next year. I believe that.
They should. They'll have the talent for it. Will they have the scheme? Will they have the coaching?
Maybe they should have paid Diamond Stone more a couple years ago. Maybe that would have worked out better, right?
Well, someday over a beer, not on your talk show, I'll tell you the story of Sean Miller and Kevin Anderson, as told to me by people involved in the transaction that would have brought Sean Miller to Maryland, and why he ultimately at the last second turned it down, which for a while I was sitting there thinking, oh, that was a bad deal for us. And now you're looking at it thinking maybe it's not such a bad deal. But that said, there were opportunities to get other guys, and let's just say Kevin Anderson was not the guy that a lot of people wanted to work for.
He is David Katz. You can read his work out at the PostGame, as well as on Twitter at KatzMando. That's KatzMando. Always a pleasure to visit with you, David. Always good to see you out on the road. We'll be in Indianapolis all week for the Combine, and hopefully the Ravens will be picking some good ones 8 weeks from now. How about that?
Let's hope so, and please say hi to the PostGame guys when you're out there. I'll make sure they say hi to you.
We will say hello to them out in Indianapolis. We have it all together. It's all brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank. A relentless commitment to be the best at everything they do, and they also gave me a beautiful cup to drink from here in the studio, so big thanks to Mary Ann Wade and everybody at Howard Bank. They're also Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast, tasty coffee, the best fried chicken, and you want to download that app so you can start gassing up with the app, getting yourself the points you deserve, and maybe getting yourself some free fried chicken and some Western fries for the NCAA tournament coming up a couple of weeks from now as well. We're out in the buyatoyota.com audio vault 24 hours a day from anywhere in the world on your mobile device. by downloading the TuneIn Radio app. We do come in crystal clear from anywhere in the world. The morning newspaper ships directly to your email inbox. It's all brought to you by Planet Fitness at planetfitness.com. Also now includes our entries for Laurel and all the winter racing going on there this weekend and into the future at Pimlico. We're going to get ready for the Preakness this spring as well. All the Maryland Jockey Club's entries now in the WNST morning newspaper every morning, as well as on the front of WNST.net. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Towson, Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.